Hi there, and welcome to our Laserfiche demo webinar. Today we will be demoing the best new features and benefits of Laserfiche version 10.1 through a vendor contract management use case, which you will find is applicable to a lot of other use cases that you might be dealing with. At the end, we will field any questions you might have about functionality, benefits, upgrades, or anything else you want to know about. My name is Emerson Dameron. My last name is French, so I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly either. And I'm the marketing manager here at AMI. I will be your moderator today. A few minor housekeeping items before we get started. Please make sure to enter your audio PIN if you're dialing in and are not using your computer audio. Also, please mute yourself just in case to avoid any background noise. If you'd like to interact with us, you can raise your little hand to ask an audio question by clicking the little hand icon on your GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll open up the lines for questions at the end of the session. Also, please write your comments and questions throughout the presentation in the Questions tab on your GoToWebinar control panel. Feel free to take some notes if you wish. It's a great way to learn, but the webinar will be recorded and can be shared later on. Today, we will show you how Laserfiche works by walking you through a vendor contract management scenario. And be sure to stay tuned. At the end, we'll have several exclusive special offers just for you. With us today, as mentioned, is B. Zhang, one of our account representatives. Some of you have already spoken with B or met her in person. She'll be the main point of contact for any projects, updates, and inquiries pertaining to upgrades, add-ons, and pricing, and that sort of thing. Right now, B is going to show us what Laserfiche can do through a vendor contract management story. Keep an eye out for these key features. We have Laserfiche forms, specific and customized e-forms that will eliminate paper and PDFs for good. Workflows, which automate routing, review, and approval across departments, including management, legal, and more. Quickfields, a batch scanning tool that puts scanning and data entry on autopilot. Records management, that allows you to effortlessly control retention and cutoff and never worry about whether or not you have the documents you need or the documents you don't need. And business process libraries, a collection of built-in processes, diagrams, forms, flows, templates, and field definitions to minimize your initial development effort. And with that, B, I will give the floor to you. I take you off of mute.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much, Emerson. So as he mentioned, we're going to be looking at a vendor management process. And let me just show my screen here really quick. Great. So we're going to be looking at the vendor management process of a company named Widgetech. And here's the form that we're going to be looking at initially. Widgetech is looking at new vendors to market their application/software. So the process begins with a new vendor filling out and using an online form to submit their vendor application. Once this form is filled out, it's going to take you through two separate processes. So this is going to trigger one that is sent to the legal team for contract review, and the other to the manager, vendor management for vendor management review. So let's go ahead and get started. As Emerson mentioned, again, this is the vendor process. However, you can use this for any other application that might be more particular to your line of business. So this can work for like an HR application, or you can use it to submit a request form for, let's say, vacation or to request like a PO for something that you want to get for your department. So let's go ahead and fill out the field. As I fill out the first 3 fields here, I'm going to say we are ABC Industries. The main contact is Sophia Brooks. You'll see that these 3 fields have asterisks on them, which means that if they are left blank, we will not be able to submit the form. As I go to the email, you'll see that, okay, it recognizes that this is not a valid email. And this is what we called a field constraint. And so if it does not recognize the proper format that has been set as a constraint for that field, we again will not be able to move forward. So the benefits of setting constraints and requirements for your form is that this can really help you streamline your information capture and make sure you get the information you need in the right format. So being able to capture the information correctly the first time will help eliminate any back and forth and human errors that commonly occur with manual paper and even PDF forms where you can't put in the constraints. So let me just fill out the information really quick. If you're not aware of where we are, this is our address in downtown Los Angeles, 901. Perfect. So as we go down more, you also see in the industry portion that there is a drop-down box that is required, which allows you to select from the many different types of fields that you want to show. So for here, we are going to say that ABC Industries is part of the health industry, and their proposed good is MRI, MRI imaging software. So now that we have completely filled out our form, we can kind of move forward. But before I want to move forward, I just want to show you quickly this FAQ tab here, which is what we called our social BPM. It provides usual information and frequently asked questions that can provide more information about this particular process and filling out the form. Right here, we are using it outward for, again, outward people to kind of interact with it. But you can also use it internally as well with your staff to have discussions around a particular process. And something else to point out with forms, which is great, is that it is something really easy to put together. It is dynamic, so any power user can actually create the layout and set the requirements and constraints of this by using the simple drag and drop interface that comes with it, which I know working with different verticals that sometimes, IT is just too busy dealing with many multiple projects at the same time and may not have time to get to it. So this allows you to quickly create a forms process without having to wait around. So let's go ahead and submit it. And this kicks off our process. Now the next part of the process is that it is sent to the purchasing department review. And this page right here, again, you can set it to, let's say someone is filling out the application, you can set it to send back to your home page or to a separate thank you page. So it's completely dynamic. Let's go to our forms dashboard. If you're unfamiliar with it, this is the forms dashboard. And let me just scroll down really quick. For the purpose of the demo, we have several different tasks that are here. However, part of the process, the next person in the process, which is the purchasing review, when you log in, that is the only thing that you will see. So as you can see here, there's a task today that was sent over a minute ago for the purchasing reviewer that a new contract or a new vendor is available for their review. So by clicking on that, we will see that the initial information that ABC Industries and Sophia Brooks has put in as the required fields has been pushed through. And as part of the this purchasing review process, we are to specify and give additional information about the vendor. So as we click these buttons, you'll see that other required pop-outs are going to show as we list which kind of vendor they are. So let's say that they are a sole source justification, which means they are the only one that has that. I'm going to go ahead and fill out a little bit more information that is required and say they are the only vendor that meets all of our requirements. And then that way I can either approve them or deny them. Before we move on to the next part of the process, I just wanted to point out here on the right pane is an action history log. Kind of serves as an audit trail to show you where in the process this document or I guess has been routed through. So we'll see when it was first submitted and where we are in the purchasing review. And if we look at, it'll also say, you know, the task was assigned to Laserfiche, who is the user that we are currently looking at right now. So let's go ahead and approve this. So by doing so, we will see that, here we go. So we will see that, sorry it's a little bit confusing, we will see that a legal review task is now available, which was submitted at 11:15, and also the vendor management review portion. So it has triggered these two processes for us to continue with onboarding the vendor. So something, again, just to point out, these processes can happen simultaneously with a different team. For the purpose of the demo, we're going to go ahead and get started with the legal team, where it is their job to draft the contract, get it signed, and then also send it over to the vendor. So here, let's take a look. Again, we'll see the information has been passed through, including the purchasing review notes that had just been submitted. So here, our job as the legal team, all we have to do is fill out the clauses that are required for the contract. This contract is going to be automatically generated by Laserfiche. That way, the way it does that is by reading the values that we select here and adding it to the, just those clauses that we have selected to the contract itself. Given that, let's say we want just the executory and the records clause to be added to the contract to generate. So the benefit of this is that it really helps streamline the process for contract creation so that each legal reviewer doesn't have to go through the process of creating a contract each time. So all they have to do is specify the clauses that are required. As you can see, it gives a little bit of instruction and information on where the generated draft is going to be found in the repository and what folder exactly it will be found in. Just to point out again, as you can see on the action history here, that it has added the current process that we are in. So let's go ahead and submit this as we have completed it. So before we go to the next part of the process, I actually just want to show you the Laserfiche repository really quick. And we are going to be Larry Legal as part of the legal team. Go ahead and log in. And if you're unfamiliar with the Laserfiche repository, this is, again, how it looks. This is in the client. the structure of it has been set up to mimic a Microsoft environment, which makes it very easy to use and makes people a little bit more familiar with it. So as we go to the contract portion, and according to our instructions that we were given, and under the negotiation folder, voila, here we see the ABC industry folder. And the important thing to point out here is that this folder was dynamically created by workflow upon submission of the application that was used, submitted with the Laserfiche form. If we click on it, we will actually see the draft. Let's just see here. We'll see the draft here. Let me just go ahead and delete this one. Actually, this is not supposed to be here. We'll see the draft of the contract here. So this, again, has been dynamically put here based on the submission of the legal team's initial review. So we'll go ahead and exit out of the repository. And let's go back to our process. So here, upon submission, you'll see that the next step of legal team has actually received a email notification with the generated contract. And it also provides some instruction information on what to do with the contract once completed. So it says to save any changes as a new version. And once we are happy and finalized, then we are to generate pages. So it has, again, attached a version of the contract. So let's go ahead and open it. And it's asking us for authentication to make sure we have the proper rights to view the file. So here you can see that the contract has been dynamically created using information that was submitted in the form. Additionally, as we go down to the bottom, the clauses appendix has the executory and records clause that was specified earlier. Now let's go ahead and say we want to make some changes to this contract. And I want to make changes to the pricing. So let's change this to 70, 130, 200. And now let's just take a quick look. We are happy with our changes. And now we want to save it to Laserfiche. So you're thinking, okay, how can I do that? Well, Laserfiche actually has a integration with Microsoft Office. So within the Word, there is actually a little blue ribbon here that we can actually save directly to Laserfiche. And here, according to our instructions before, we are going to save this as a new version. And we are going to save it as actually price change. And what this does is it saves the new version of the document within the metadata of the document. So it does not override any information that is existing, so you will not lose that. And what it also does is it doesn't create a duplicate. So that's some of the benefits with being able to save and create new versions within the metadata. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we can actually take a look at the metadata to understand a little bit more of what I was saying. So here right away, you'll see, again, we have the first version that was drafted, and then we have the second version, which we just saved, which is the price change. Before we kind of look at the comparison there, let's just go to the Fields tab within the metadata that we've been able to access within Word. And you'll see here that the fields have been automatically filled out with the information that we captured. Oops, we didn't want to do that. With the information that we captured initially from the form. And before I accidentally changed that, we'll see that the contract status is under negotiation, which is the negotiation folder that we just looked at in the repository. So let's go back to the versioning. This is what we call versioning control. And let's say we want to see what the differences are. So we can select both. And by clicking on this little icon here, it will compare the selected versions for us. So as we do that, we'll see here that a compared version has popped out for us. And now we see the changes that have been made. That is actually an expanded view. This is also the first view that you'll see as you come in. Any particular section that has any changes will be indicated by this red mark. And as we click on it, again, it will show us the different changes that have been made. So we are happy with this. So let's just exit out of it. Going to exit out the metadata. We're going to exit out of this. And going back to our repository in the draft, we're going to actually, based on our instructions previously, we're going to go ahead and generate pages. And what that does is it takes the current version that has the different, actually the several different versions, and it makes a finalized, uneditable copy. So let's go ahead and press yes. Great. Actually, let's minimize this. And then we are going to look at the, let's see, is this the changed version? Okay, let's go back to the metadata. And let's say now that we have the version, we are going to change it to signed. So going back into the metadata, let's say we signed it, we can then switch it over to signed. And oops, perfect. And then we will press OK. And once we press OK, let's see. We are going to, oh, let me just actually pull up a different one. I think I might be looking at the wrong version here. Let's go back to our email. There we go. Okay, sorry about the confusion, guys. So once we have signed that and changed the status in the metadata, we'll see that actually right away Sophia Brooks receives a email notification saying that the here is the attached contract that has been finalized, and they are to review, sign, and send us a copy. For the purpose of the demo, we actually created another email from Sophia Brooks with her signed contract. And what we want to show here is that, let's go back to the repository. Oh, yes, what we want to show here is that once we receive something email, we can actually drag and drop right into the repository. So again, this is a repository. As you can see, it has changed. It now shows the finalized version of the contract that has been sent over to Sophia Brooks and ABC Industries. And it also dynamically created the folder that has the original contract that we worked with. So let's go ahead and just drag and drop right into Laserfiche. Oh, let me just gonna say okay. Actually, okay. Let's do that again. So what we want to do is add as a new version. And we want to save it as countersigned. Perfect. So once that has been countersigned, you will see that, let's just go here, the contract actually is now moved into the finalized folder, and you'll see the ABC's Industries finalized contract here. If we go under vendor, we'll also see here that the contract is there. So let's just take a quick look at it. And here at the bottom, we will see the signatures that have been created. And that kind of concludes kind of the end of the contract management portion. Let's go ahead. I want to show you then the ending life cycle of where this goes. So let's take a look at records management, because once, you know, all documents kind of come into Laserfiche, there are probably retention schedules that you might have for them for compliance purposes that you want managed. So we can do that using records management. And what I'm going to do here is just I'm going to exit out of that, close a few things here, and we are going to take a look at our records management portion using the web access. So as the records manager, I'm going to be Ralph Records. And as I log in, you'll see that this is a web access portion if you're not using it already. It has a little bit more of a cleaner, modern look. The setup is still pretty much the same. As Ralph Records, I actually have access to seeing all the records that we have available. So as before, when we were the legal team, we were only able to see the contracts in the vendor folder. But here we're able to see all of them. So let's go into our contracts and look at our vendor agreements. And again here, we will see the ABC Industries folder and then the contract that is there, including the cutoff instruction and the retention schedule that is associated with it. So again, you can use records management to really, you know, manage the retention of this for any contracts, or let's say any, we have human resources, personnel files, accounts payable, anything that is required for you to have a copy and then, you know, retain for a certain number of years. What records management will not do is automatically dispose of the documents for you, just because there are times that, let's say, maybe, you know, something is accidentally put in the 5 years, but it's meant to be 7 years for the retention schedule. You don't want to do that, because once, you know, item is deleted, it's gone forever. What you can do is use, you know, records management to then, once, you know, the document is up for disposition, then it can all be moved or routed to a separate folder in which a person can then take a look at it and follow your disposition procedure for the document. So that is the first portion that we looked at, the first process that was triggered based upon the initial application. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the vendor manager review portion, which again can be happening simultaneously to be completed. So here I am the vendor manager, and my purpose, my next step of the project is to look at this vendor and specify what documents are missing from them. What documents do we need from them to fully onboard? And I'm going to say, you know what, we haven't received anything from them. They are a new vendor. I need all of these documents. So I'm going to go ahead and click that and then just say, please send over ASAP. Then I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And as you can see, that the vendor manager portion is now gone from our Laserfiche Forms dashboard. And that has triggered an email to Sophia Brooks saying, hi, Sophia, thanks for your application. We need these 4 documents from you in order to onboard. And it has also provided a link in which she can click to another form where she can upload each of these documents directly from a network folder or any one of her folders. Or she can also, let's move this over a little bit, she can simply open up a folder if you have it open already and just drag and drop right into the form right here and then submit. For the purpose of the demo, we're going to say that, you know, Sophia is a little bit more old school and she actually wants to just mail them in to Widget Tech. So she's going to go ahead and mail in the documents, the 4 documents, and once the documents are received, let's go ahead and exit out of this. Then let's say if you have a particular person that deals with all incoming documents or a team that does that, they can then scan it in using Quickfields. And if you're unfamiliar with Quickfields, as Emerson said earlier, it is a, yes, please. There we are. Quickfields is a powerful batch scanning tool that can be used to for the automatic filing and extraction of metadata, and it can be done so through using zone OCR, pattern matching, barcoding. So it has some really great capabilities. Again, this is great for if you are using just a few different forms and you want to be able to grab that information and you're working at high volume. So let's go ahead and scan in the 4 documents. So here, the documents have been scanned in. Let's just take a quick look at them. You'll see that that Quickfields has grabbed some essential information from just the scanning process. So it has picked up the vendor name, the contact, what vendor document type it is. Additionally, we can actually just do some Q&A for any additional information that we might want to put in. So here, I know that they're part of the health industry, so I can go ahead and put that there as well, and so forth as we continue to go. So after we do the quick QA, we can then save these directly into Laserfiche by clicking this button here, store all documents in the Laserfiche repository. And what that does is it removes, it transfers all the documents out of Quickfields into the repository. So voila, as you can see, once those documents have been scanned in, an email notification has been sent to the vendor manager that hey, ABC Industries actually has submitted all of the documents, and you can view them in the next step of the process with this link. Let me just do this so you can see it better. I know our screen is a little smaller. So again, here the vendor management is able to see all the information that has been passed through. So just to point out, just from the initial capture of the information from the form, the powerful thing is that that required information has been able to be pushed through to different departments that are part of the process in order to complete the task, that they need to complete in order for the overall process to be successful. So here he also sees the documents, and he's able to do a final validation to make sure that those are the correct documents before they can finally be onboarded. So by clicking here, it takes us right into the repository and shows us, oh, you know what, we are actually still logged in as Ralph Records. So we want to log in as Laserfiche. So let's go back and click here. And voila, we see the 4 documents that have been submitted. And again, we can do a quick validation here by just clicking on each one to make sure that it's the correct document before we go ahead and approve. So on the right side here, we also see again the information, some metadata that are associated with it. And I don't think it has the processes, but here, because this isn't part, these documents in general aren't part of a, I guess the approval, it doesn't have where in the steps that the process is. However, if it was a document that was part of the approval, you'll actually give some KPIs and current steps of where we are in the business process in this processes tab. So now that we've done a quick validation, we want to go back to the form and say, yes, everything is here. And let's go ahead and approve them. So let's just exit out of a few things here. Again, let's exit out of this. And then finally, you'll see that ABC Industries actually receives a final email welcoming them to Widgetech, that they are now officially a vendor. It has given them their vendor ID number, including attached welcome letter that has been generated by Laserfiche to show, just to give some information about their account, again, their vendor ID number, and some procedures that they may need for their account. So this actually concludes the overall process of the vendor and manager approvals. Before we kind of do a quick recap, let's just take a look at the business process libraries. So going back to our inbox, in the Laserfiche forms, so business process libraries is something that is available with 10.1. And if you're already using forms, in order to create a new process, you go to Processes, New Process, and you're probably using these different templates that are here for you to create a process. But with 10.1, it offers now a business process library, which comes with about 40, I believe. They're still going, but there's about 40 out of the box simple workflows and templates and business processes that can be used. You can either adopt these as your own if you don't have one in place already, or to eliminate starting from scratch. There are some here already that you can use and just simply to build on top of. So on the left side here, you can filter the template and say, and specify which vertical you're really in. So let's say here, it shows business license application, public records request. We can go to accounting financing, vendor onboarding, which is part of kind of what we just did, expense reimbursement. This is more education, but tuition payment agreement. So these are really, really neat and definitely something to take advantage of because, again, oftentimes many people might want to stay away from forms or workflow because they're a little bit afraid that it's going to take a little while to initially get started. However, with the business process library, again, it gives you a base to work off or something to adopt easily. So that is the end of that. I know this was kind of a lot, you guys. So let's just do a quick recap. Again, we looked at the vendor and contract management portion of this demo. But the key things to kind of take away out of it, as Emerson had mentioned before, are the Laserfiche forms. So again, eliminating your paper documents or your paper forms and PDF forms by using smart e-forms to capture the information you need properly the first time. We also looked at workflow, which automated review and approval, sent task notifications and email notifications, along with routing documents throughout your repository automatically, so you don't have to constantly go in and move things around. We looked at Quickfields and how you can use that as a batch scanning tool to automate scanning, indexing, and the filing of documents into your repository. We also looked at records management, which again, works in the background to manage the retention and cutoff of your documents. And then here we looked at, business process libraries briefly again as, a tool to really use so you can adopt, simple workflows that are already there for you without having to, spend the amount of money and time and professional services to create new ones. So it serves as a base or something that you can use to adopt for your particular business. So we are, that does conclude our demo for my part. I'm going to actually take it back to Emerson.
Thank you, B. Now, we would like to give you the opportunity to ask us anything about Laserfiche. You can send us your questions using the questions or chat boxes in your control panel. B is here to help. We got a few experts on the line. You can also raise your hand and I can take you off of mute and put you through. We have our first question comes from Angela. Angela has one question in two parts. How do I know that my documents are secure, and how flexible are the security settings? B, what do you know about the security settings in Laserfiche?
Yeah, so again, it depends kind of on the users that you have. But again, in order to access the repository, there are full name users that require kind of a password and login. And even with concurrent users, you can set security privileges that constraints or allows certain people to only have access to certain documents or folders within their department, or even just a particular approvals process in general that may not be within that department. So it is flexible in a way where you can allow access and take away access. But again, having those full name users will, again, always, as you can see in the demo, it always prompts you to authenticate yourself before you can get access to the folders and the documents.
I think that's a concern a lot of people have about cloud storage. It might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but it's actually a whole lot safer than having everything on paper in a storage unit that you don't own or in the back of your office. And the security settings in Laserfiche are pretty flexible. Like, there's a lot of stuff that Larry Legal can see that Ralph Records cannot see, and possibly vice versa. All right, it looks like we have a question from Mike. Mike says, I've put off going digital because my company moves very slowly. How long does the implementation typically take?
Well, I can kind of take a stab at this, but the implementation really varies. It varies from, it can be a couple weeks to maybe a couple months, but again, it depends on what we are looking to accomplish, and it's specific to kind of the software you are getting. Is there any workflow that's going to be involved? How are we getting the documents into Laserfiche? And also, it depends on the specification or the requirements that you're going to need to create and to get them on board. So I don't know if that really answers the question, Mike. However, again, it really varies, and it is kind of a specific use case scenario.
And Mike, we can also send you a wonderful handbook that we have, which is about making the case for document management. So you could see the long-term ROI that you'll get. I think that'll help convince people. We have a question from Mr. Stephen Rhodes. B, are you ready to briefly show the government forms again?
Yeah, from the business process library.
Sure. Yeah, Stephen asks, can you briefly show the government forms again, specifically the review of public records form?
Yes. So let me just show my screen. Can everyone see me? Okay.
There you are.
So let's go into, great. So we'll go into form. Oh, let me just log in as form. So I think we would actually have to download this. Let me see if I can actually just, show it quickly. So here's what we're looking at in terms of the process. I don't know if I can actually minimize this a little bit so you'll be able to see. But of course, there's always a start and an end to the process, and also it splits into several other processes that are happening simultaneously. Here we have a citizen submits a public request, which is then sent to the department assignment by clerk. And then it goes through different processes based on the approval or rejection. So this is kind of how it looks like, Mr. Rhodes. However, we'd be actually happy to show you kind of a public request demo. We also have a separate one to show you separately as well. So I hope at least this gives you a little bit of an understanding or clarification into the public request workflow and form.
We have a follow-up question from Stephen. Stephen would like to know, is this available in Laserfiche version 9.2?
The business process library is not. It's only available with Laserfiche 10.1 and only available within forms. So you would actually have to get forms first in order to have the business process library.
So, Stephen, if you'd like to speak with B or anyone here about upgrading to 10.1, you can email us at sales@amipaperless.com, and that goes for everyone on the line. If you have further questions, we are here to help at all times. Before we go, we'd like to tell you about a few special offers that we have. Laserfiche is offering a special promotion for Classic, United and Team customers and Avante customers upgrading to Rio in 2016. It's based on user volume, and it basically amounts to a 15% discount, possibly more than that. This runs through the end of 2016. Again, give us a shout out at sales@amipaperless.com, and we'll explain how much money you can save. We also have a few free tickets left for Empower 2017. Attending Empower 2017 in Long Beach, California will give you even more opportunities to learn about Laserfiche software, talk to experts, attend classes on topics that interest you, and learn from your peers in the industry as well as regional user groups. All you have to do is leave us a testimonial. You can tell us about your experience working with AMI and attend Empower 2017 on us. Here's a testimonial from our friend Andres. I've worked with AMI for the past year on a project to update and streamline the hiring process with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Throughout this time, AMI has proven itself to be both creative and resourceful with the development of our very customized needs. I would highly recommend the AMI team. Thank you for that testimonial, Andre. I'm going to put the link for this up in the chat window right now and send it out to all of you. All you have to do is leave us a testimonial and you will receive one free pass to Empower 2017. Please only do this if you do definitely plan to attend Empower 2017 on February 7th through the 10th, 2017 in Long Beach, California. So there's that link. It's web.amipaperless.com/empower-2017-ticket-giveaway. And that will also be going out with the recording of the webinar that we send. There was a lot of information that B covered, so we want to make sure that all of your questions got answered. Again, if you have a question left over, please send it to us at sales@amipaperless.com or give us a call if you're in touch with B, if you're in touch with Tom, if you're in touch with the AMI team. We would love to help out with anything, but this offer is first come, first serve, so now is the time. Again, that link is web.amipaperless.com/empower-2017-ticket-giveaway. We have a couple of minutes left, so if you have a last-minute question, anything for the good of the order, please raise your hand or ask in the pane. And the business process library is only available at 10.1 with just forms. So if you'd like to talk about upgrading to 10.1, again, give us a shout out at sales@amipaperless.com. Looks like everyone is good. Thank you for attending our webinar and for your questions, your time, and your participation. Please let us know if we can help you with anything. Again, sales@amipaperless.com. The website is amipaperless.com. Thank you, and we will see you next time.